Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Creative Differences podcast, the podcast that is rediscovering its identity over 250 episodes in. I'm Dallas, and I'm not the gamer I used to be, but I know video games better than I know A24 movies.
I'm Colin, and hello. We have hit upon one of my favorite things, so this is great for me.
Yeah.
And I'm Demi, and we're in the middle of an identity crisis, which sucks because I so badly wish I could be talking to you guys about the movie Bottoms. Welcome to another episode of the Creative Differences podcast, your one-stop shop for movie reviews, Fancast Fridays, Throwback Thursdays, and a number of other pop culture-related items. Like today, it's a top 5 technically, but it feels more like we just listed 5 video games that we would like to see adapted into movies. You put them okay. Well, I put mine in an order too, but like I don't know how much of the ranking really matters.
Fair.
That's fair.
We chose 5 video games that we would like to see adapted into movies or television.
Yes, we did, because despite the fact that we are, transitioning into realms outside of movies and television, we can't really do that because we like movies and TV a lot.
Except for Colin.
Colin doesn't, but
this episode's for him.
Yeah.
Creative differences.
Yeah. Here are the differences. Speaking of different people, Gabby, she's not here. We told her the topic and she said, and I quote, "I don't want to talk about video games, you freaking nerds." And we haven't heard from her since. So
hilarious.
Gabby's not here.
Yep.
Before we get into this episode, please like, share, subscribe, hit all the things, because with the strikes and the impending video game strike, we might have to get into some weird topics, and you don't want to miss that, because I can assure you it's going to be very random. And that's fun. There's one hotly contested topic that may or may not happen.
I will not be there for that if it does happen.
Honestly, it kind of feels like an issue of censorship, and we should really be discussing it as such. But, that's fine.
It's not so much censorship as I'm trying to keep our brand in a certain light.
We'll circle
That's
back to
fair.
that.
We'll talk about it later. Anyway, rules of the game. We're going to do our top 5 the same way we always do our top 5s. We're going to go through it. I highly doubt it's going to happen this time, but if somebody has something on their list that's higher on somebody else's, they're going to call skip, and we're going to wait until we get to the highest point that thing is on the list, and we'll discuss it then.
So, to help you guys understand that skip thing.
Yeah, because I can never word it properly in a way that makes sense.
I think they get it. It makes sense to me, but I also know what it is. Also, I'm sick, so I might die.
Yeah, please don't.
Trying not to. What was I going to say? Yes, if Demi's number 5 is Rumble Roses, and Colin has Rumble Roses as his number 1, then he would say skip, and we would talk about Rumble Roses when we get to number 1.
All right, so let's jump into this. Honorable mentions?
Hold on. The fun thing about that is, usually I just pick an example that is something that you guys know but would never pick, and I feel like I picked something that you guys have never even heard of.
I was like, he made up a video game. Okay,
great, because somebody's gonna be listening like, just gonna say Rumble Roses.
Yeah.
I just thought you made it up.
No, it's a real game. I wouldn't recommend it.
I mean, I figured he wouldn't make it up for the example, but
yeah,
it's always
got to be something that I know you two would both not pick. But yeah, that's that. Honorable mentions. I have one. I have an honorable mention and I have a mention. My honorable mention is Army of Two. Really dope game. Shoot 'em up, bang bang, fun times. My mention is one that was going to be on my list, but then I wasn't really sure if I felt like putting it there, and I got into this whole separate the art from the artist thing, and I kind of came down in the middle. So I want to mention it, even though I haven't heard anything but bad things about the dude who made it. So it's Detroit Become Human. I like the story.
When you started saying that, I was like, "Oh, David Cage."
Yeah. I like that game a lot, and I like the story a lot. And since I've played it, I've heard nothing but terrible things about David Cage. It's a mention because if I can find a way to make it adapted without any involvement or compensation for that dude, assuming everything I've heard is true, because I don't know, I don't do research, so I'm gonna leave the honor off the mention for now.
I'm unsure. Yeah. I know he was part of the I think sexual harassment allegations. I don't remember if those went to court or anything like that. I'll have to look into that. I'll get back to you.
You never like allegations, but yeah, those are mine. Not my allegations. Those are my mentions.
Colin, do you have any honorable mentions? You typically don't, but I'm going to ask.
I do not, but thank you for asking.
You got it. My honorable mentions are mostly things that already have something in the works for them to be adapted, but I just wanted to mention them, but also another game that I wanted to put on the list, but then I thought of another game. So my honorable mentions list is Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, because I used to love that game. Tomb Raider, because I need Tomb Raider to come back and have a good franchise. Luckily for me, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is currently writing a TV series for Amazon of Tomb Raider.
Nice.
That is not going to star Alicia Vikander?
It will not. Ghost of Tsushima, which is a fantastic game that I have not gotten too far in. Yeah, that is happening. So that's why it's on honorable mentions.
I don't think there's any. I haven't heard anything about it. But
well, they have a director. Chad Stahelski is going to be directing it, and they have a Japanese writer doing the screenplay. So
nice.
It is happening. It is a thing that's happening, and I didn't put it on the list because it is actually so close to happening that it felt like it didn't belong here. Prototype, which is a game that I used to play a lot to get through.
Ooh, how would you?
I don't know. I used to play it a lot though to work through my anger issues, but you know whatever.
It's great for that. Oh yeah, that would have to be like a hard R. Jesus.
No, that's fine. I don't care about that.
You got that.
Yeah, that's cool. Huh? So let's get into it, shall we? Number 5, Dallas.
Let's get into it. Also, disclosure: I avoided anything that has an adaptation that I am aware of.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did too.
So
that's why Tomb Raider's on the honorable mentions.
Right. My answer for this has always been Tekken. And then last year, a Tekken anime came out on Netflix. And it was cool. I liked it. But I've always wanted to just, make a Tekken thing.
There's only one game I can think of that might be on both me and Dallas's list, and I want to see if that happens.
I'm looking forward to that. And number 5 it's a game that I'm sure neither of you have played. And it's a game that I hesitate to bring up because there's a certain type of joke that I've made about Colin and that I've made about Gabby. It's accurate.
But
I have made it.
Excited for this.
Here we go.
Number 5 is Fur Fighters, Vigo's Revenge.
Hey, Dallas.
Hey, what's up?
You don't get to make that joke again. You don't ever get to make that joke again.
Not Fur Fighters.
Fur Fighters.
Fur Fighters.
Fur Fighters. It is a game that came out like 20 years ago. 22 years ago? I think 2001. I'm gonna just read the plot on Wikipedia. The game's plot revolves around the Fur Fighters, a group dedicated to fighting against General Vigo, the game's main antagonist. At the beginning of the game, Vigo kidnaps the families of the Fur Fighters, stranding their children around the game's various locations and turning their spouses into robotic beasts. The story is rather loose, revolving around the Fur Fighters' quest to rescue their babies, save their family, and stop General Vigo. So this is a game. It's a shooting game. It's a bunch of anthropomorphic animals. It's so ridiculous. I don't know. I do remember how I found it. I was at like Toys R Us or KB Toy, one of those dead stores when I was 9. And I was like, yo, what's this thing with the scary looking dog on it? I don't know. It says PlayStation 2. I got one of those and I bought it and I played it throughout my childhood. No one had ever heard of it. But it's so fun. And it's so ridiculous. Also, timeout. The reason I do get to make this joke, Colin, is because this is a game that I played purely for the reasons of I like to shoot things. And there is no... I can say that because it's true.
You can say that. It's wrong, but...
How would that be wrong?
Allegations, motherfucker, welcome to them. Hey, Gabby, I know you're going to listen to this later. Remember this. Fur Fighters.
She might.
Dallas. Fur Fighters. Just remember that next time he tries to start some shit.
Go ahead. And then next time she brings up anything, I can be like, all right, if I ever make a kovu noise about any of these characters.
Well, that's a set.
Then bring on
Get into that, but
Continue, man.
So this game is absolutely ridiculous. It's super violent, but there's no blood. When they get shot, fluff comes out. So I think they're stuffed animals.
Okay.
This is from the time when like games could have a story, but it really didn't matter. So I'm like, oh wait, are these like alive stuffed animals? They gotta be, because when you shoot them, a bunch of stuffing comes out. That's fun. That's kid friendly. Vigo, the bad guy, is an anthropomorphic cat. And you know how like Bond villains would have a little cat on their lap?
Yeah.
Vigo has a human, but it's a tiny human, like a cat would be on your, like it's like a lap human.
The implications are terrifying, but I love it.
They are. It's just like a little bald dude. He looks like a Bond villain. And I was just like, what is this game? The leader of the Fur Fighters, it's like their Nick Fury basically, is a ghost walrus who was a military general. I don't think we ever find out how he died. Because
what military?
I don't know. Maybe the army.
That's cool though, because that's a character you can dig into.
Yeah, like if you adapt this, you can make all these stories that should exist but probably don't. It's the most ridiculous game I think I've ever played. And to be honest, if I wasn't able to find it on Google, I would assume I hallucinated it because It's so ridiculous, and nobody knows what it is. But it's fun. You shoot things, you shoot animals, but you're an animal, so it's okay.
What?
Diversity. There's Rufus the Hound, who is Scottish, Juliet the Cat, who is French, Chang the Firefox, who is Chinese,
Okay, there we go.
Rico the Penguin, who is Argentinian, Bungalow the Kangaroo, who is Australian. I know what you're thinking. A lot of these sound white, but you know what? You can be a black Scottish person. You can be a black French person. And then Tweak is a dragon. I don't know what country the dragon is from,
Wales,
but it's
maybe?
a dragon, and it's a baby. And I don't know why there's a baby in the game, because the whole thing is rescuing babies. But for Tweak, you're rescuing the baby's siblings because you can't have a baby because it's a baby. It's a weird game. I don't know why they made it, but I'm glad they did. And I just feel like this would make a hilariously ridiculous animated movie, and I would 100% watch it. Me and the other 4 people who have played this game.
And the children who would be attracted to whatever this movie provides for them.
It would be
which
you,
probably shouldn't
the
be for kids.
children, 4 people who played the game, and the furries.
Yeah.
I am down to watch a movie with those people. That sounds like a fun little field trip.
Okay, Colin, what's your number 5?
That's that.
I'm just exulting in this moment. I mean, you couldn't have picked like a better name for just
Right?
allegations. Oh my god. Anyway, my number 5 is Hades.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, it's already got Greek mythology built in, right? And like you can tell that the gods all have like relationships with each other and how they view each other and how they view Zagreus. It just feels like there would be a lot there to explore. I don't know how you would work in the sort of roguelike, you die and then you come back and you die, and I don't know how that would work. But I just think you could do something really interesting with all the gods interacting with each other, because the game already does a lot of that. Plus it slaps. Also, the music would slap because the music in Hades slaps. And it already has like an animation style in its trailers that they could use that and it would look dope as fuck. So,
nice.
Please.
I've never played this game before, but I've heard a lot of great things about said game. So
I don't know if you like roguelikes.
I don't.
Or if you've ever played them.
No, if I've played one, I don't even know what that is. So
yeah, please explain that for the people who aren't you.
Okay, so there's roguelikes and there's roguelites. Roguelites were first, and then roguelites came after. Roguelikes are games where you play the game. At a certain point, you're probably going to die. You start over with nothing from the beginning.
Oh, those.
Roguelites are like that, except that usually something will carry over, so you can get like upgrades in between that you can then carry over to make it a little bit easier next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
And Hades is one of those. You're trying to escape hell and you die, you start over, you die, you start over, etc.
Oof.
I don't know how I feel about that.
They can be very fun. They can also be very annoying. You kind of have to take each one of the and see how you feel about it.
I like the feeling of progress, which is probably why I like story games.
Well, see, the thing is with Hades, I think they do it very well because if you can beat it, and you can, it is definitely beatable. Every time you beat it, you learn more. So I think once you beat it 10 times, you get to the actual end credits. You're going to be playing it a lot if you keep failing. And every time you play, you learn a little bit more about the world and the gods and stuff. So if that interests you, there's definitely reason to keep going.
I don't know. I think I would have to try it once, figure out how I feel about it from there. And then after that, I would decide whether or not I'd keep going.
Fair.
All right, guys. My number 5 is probably absolutely impossible to make a television or movie adaptation
I know what this is.
But I would love to see someone try. It's Kingdom Hearts, which is literally my favorite video game.
I thought this would be higher up on your list. You love Kingdom Hearts.
It's so low because I know it would be impossible, and I've already accepted the fact that you would not be able to do it. But like, I would love to see somebody try.
I don't know that it is. I mean,
it feels like it would be really hard to sift through all of that lore and make it make sense. And that's really what I want to see. I want to see somebody try and make it make sense, and to see them try and fit it into a movie. Well, I mean, you can make a television show, I guess.
Series. Or you'd have to do like a series of movies. You could not just do one, but
it would just be so difficult. But I would love to see them try to do it. And also, there's just so much weird stuff. By the way, I have a summary of the game for those who don't know what Kingdom Hearts is.
Oh, God.
When his world is destroyed and his friends mysteriously disappear, a young boy named Sora is thrust into a quest to find his missing friends and prevent the armies of darkness from destroying many other worlds. First off, that sounds cool as hell as a movie.
It also sounds simple as shit. And then you get into the game and
Well, the first game is
beat up some ants with some keys.
500.
Yeah, and then there's Disney characters to help you along the way, and all the worlds are Disney worlds, and that's like so much fun.
That's how they got me when I was a kid.
That's why I got the game for Christmas, and then I keep buying them. I do. I keep buying them. I love the Kingdom Hearts games. I have never finished a Kingdom Hearts game. I've gotten very close on several occasions, but I love these games. I love these characters. Listen, I might be beefing with Disney right now, but I also still have a love of Disney. So it's a conflict of interest. But I love Disney characters and I love Disney. I have a beef with the corporation. I don't have a beef with like the artwork. So right. I love that game, and I've loved that game since I was 9 years old, and I used to dream about what a Kingdom Hearts movie would be like before we even had a second game. So definitely Kingdom Hearts was like, it has to make the list because of course. Like, I want to see it. Yeah, my number 5 is Kingdom Hearts. That takes us to number 4, Dallas.
Number four. Going back to my childhood, but a game that everyone knows, not just me. Number 4 is Spyro the Dragon.
Okay.
Because Spyro the Dragon.
I never played those games.
Oh, they're so good. It's, we all have
they're fun. They're really fun.
I watched other people play
games we played as kids. Yeah. A lot of kids were Mario kids. There were some Crash Bandicoot kids.
I was a Crash kid.
Yeah. There's a lot of Crash kids. I was a Spyro kid, PlayStation gang, always. And it's just the nostalgia that I have for this. People always talk about how studios are just mining nostalgia and manipulating people. And yes, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
If they said, we're making a Spyro movie, I wouldn't need a trailer. I wouldn't need a cast list. I wouldn't need a release date. I'd be like, I'm there. It's silly. I don't know if you guys remember how this game started. Well, Demi never played it. Colin, do you remember how Spyro starts?
No.
So there's this dude named Nasty Nork. Nork is a portmanteau of gnome and orc. One day, for some reason, a dragon is being interviewed on TV. The dragon is just dissing this guy, Nasty. They're like, oh yeah, what about Nasty Nork? And he's like, oh, he's soft. He ain't no real threat. He ugly. He look dusty. His mama don't love him. Now, not all of that is the dialogue, but he does say he's not a threat, and he calls him ugly. He calls him simple. Yeah, and Nasty's like, simple? Ugly? Oh, that's it. And that's the inciting incident for this entire game, probably the entire series. Because
I think I remember that.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I see. You want to play with me? You think I'm soft? You think it's sweet over here? So then he just encases every dragon in a crystal like statue and steals their treasure. I don't know how he does all this. Magic. I don't know. Spyro. And then Spyro, I guess because he was a kid, he wasn't trapped. He just has to save all the rest of the dragons. I never finished this game because when I was a kid, I didn't do that. I didn't finish games. I played games and then I took breaks to eat, sleep, go do other things. And it was never like, oh, I got to beat this game. It was like, I'll play it until I'm bored.
Mood.
Yeah, right. So I don't know what happens at the end of this game. I just know there's a bunch of fun stuff that happens in between. There's an egg thief. I don't know how he runs into the story, but he's like, I don't know. Now that I think back, probably maybe kind of culturally insensitive. I don't know what was up with like.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Yeah. Then I gotta dress him like that. But yeah, he just like runs around with an egg, and then you chase him, you hit him. He's very hard to get. He moves quick. He's like, woof, woof. And you get him, and then he's like, and he throws the egg up in the air, and you get points or something. I don't know if anything happens with the eggs. I don't know if they hatch. I don't even know if they're dragon eggs. It's another one of those things of like, yeah, games could have a story. Did the story matter? No. As someone who really, really likes the new Super Mario movie and the 2 Sonic movies that we've gotten, both based on games that were like, I mean, yeah, I guess there's a story.
Yeah.
Then I was super down for those, and I'm super down for this, and we could do the same kind of vibe. For some reason, Spyro has a dragonfly that hangs around with him.
Yeah.
Like in the game mechanic, it's to tell you when you're gonna die. Like it changes colors every time you get hit, and then it just disappears. But other than that, it just kind of eats butterflies. I don't know. Someone who's really into Spyro is really pissed off right now. They're like, you don't understand. The dragonfly's name is Sparks, and it does this because it does that. And I'm sorry. I played the game when I was 6, and I loved it. It was so much fun, and I just want to see more.
You could also make a Crash Bandicoot movie, I feel like, based off of that whole...
Oh, yeah. All of these games from this era, you can make a movie. And, like, the way that they're able to make these Sonic movies so successful, the way they're able to make this Mario movie so successful, is like, write the story. Or take the bones of this story. Like, yo, you was dissing me on TV. Now I got to show you what's what. And boom, there's a story. Also, apparently Clancy Brown is in this game.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. I just know that I just found that out right now looking at Wikipedia. Yeah, fun times. I'm with it. Somebody make it. Not right now though, because it's a strike. But after that, you'll know. I assume it would be a Sony situation because PlayStation.
Yep.
But yeah, Spyro, the Dragon. That's my number 4.
So my number 4, and Demi, you can talk about this one.
Ooh.
My number 4 is Destiny.
Skip.
Hey, we got to skip.
Look at that.
Look at that. That takes us to my number 4. Who would have thought? Not me. Not me. My number 4 is Metal Gear Solid, which technically is in pre-production. I think it's the only thing on my list that is actually like in pre-production. But like, who knows what's going on with that movie? I saw a listing on IMDb with like Oscar Isaac's name on it, and I was just like, maybe this is actually happening. I don't know.
Huh.
But the point is, Metal Gear Solid, a crack government anti-terrorist squad, takes over an obscure Alaskan nuclear disposal facility with the aid of an army of genetically modified genome soldiers. They have threatened to launch a nuclear missile if the U.S. government does not hand over the preserved body of Big Boss, the greatest soldier that ever lived. The only person who can successfully infiltrate the facility, rescue 2 hostages, and thwart the terrorist plans is the legendary Solid Snake. This is on my list for the same reason that Resident Evil would be on my list, were Resident Evil not constantly rebooted every couple years. I say this every time Resident Evil comes up. I watch movies and television related to Resident Evil because I used to watch my dad play that game all the time. And I have the same feeling with Tomb Raider because I grew up watching my dad play Tomb Raider games. And I also grew up watching him play Metal Gear Solid all the time. So I have a nostalgic attachment to that game. And it was actually the last game that I ended up putting on the list because I was like trying to think. I don't play a lot of video games, guys. And if I do, they are usually associated with an IP that already has a bunch of movies. So Spider-Man, Batman games, Injustice, like Star Wars, they all are already attached to an IP. So it's like I can't really do an adaptation because we already got a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Video games, there were like a lot of sports games I played as a kid as well. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid is like a game that I slightly remember. I have like instinctual memories of it. I was telling my dad that if they ever made a Metal Gear Solid game or a movie, I absolutely would not want that alert sound.
You gotta have the sound.
You have to have it.
It gives me anxiety to this day.
It should.
I hated that sound as a child. It was horrifying. It is. It's so good. It's like Pavlov's dog, man. Like it terrifies me whenever I hear it. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid is a good spy game. There's, as you could hear from the synopsis, there's some fun genome soldiers. So you're getting some like super soldier type of stuff going on. So it's not just espionage or government secrets. There's, some kind of superpowered stuff going on. And I remember thinking that Solid Snake was such a cool character when I was a kid. Snake was so dope. In my head, I can hear the, whenever you would die, I can hear the snake.
Yeah.
In my head, I can hear it so vividly, so clearly.
One of my friends had that as a ringtone back in the day.
It's a great sound
like, what
bite.
is that? And it was like some Metal Gear Solid. I never played that game growing up. So I was like, yo, what's up with your phone?
Oh my gosh, I grew up on that sound and on the stupid alert sound that still gives me anxiety. So my number 4 is Metal Gear Solid. I hope they finally make a movie for that one. I think they've been trying for years to do a Metal Gear anything for movies or television.
I hear about every few years. So, like, it's happening.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's happening.
No, it's not.
No,
it's in development hell consistently.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe one day we'll actually get a Metal Gear Solid movie or game. That would be really cool.
I wonder if they will address the fact that Solid Snake is the most pornographic sounding name.
Solid Snake?
Certainly not.
And maybe any video game character.
Okay.
The bad guy's name was Big Boss. Come on, man.
Yeah, but like, Solid Snake is so phallic.
What do you do for the porn parody? I assume porn parodies already exist, but...
yeah, I'm sure it does. But you gotta... Maybe you don't need to change it for that.
You don't, really.
Maybe you don't.
You got the gear. You got the metal. It's solid.
Yeah, it's solid. Boom. Solid Snake.
Anyway, number 3.
Top three. I just want to say that I love that. We haven't talked about Destiny yet, but I assume there's some kind of narrative to it because it's a newer game. But I love, for the most part, newer relative to like Spyro.
Oh,
but so far you guys have talked about games that like you can see the story, and I'm just like, yo, I played this game when I was little and it was really fun.
I mean, to be fair, Kingdom Hearts, I was like, you can't do it, but I want to see you try. So.
Yeah, but that's also because it's so much story, but it's there. But keeping with my pattern of I played it when I was little and it was fun. Super Smash Brothers.
Honestly, the fact that there hasn't been yet.
There's
feel
like a semi moment in the Super Mario's Brothers movie.
They do it, but like I feel like I can't say that they're working toward it. I don't know what they're doing, but I could see with the success of the newer video games that they're doing, maybe working their way to that. It's so much fun. All these characters that we love, smacking each other around. And you could do it from like Marvel's Secret War comic situation where like this big powerful thing is making you guys all fight each other. You could do like a Mortal Kombat type. It's a tournament. We got to fight to be the best, be the boss, blah, 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 blah. All those fighting games. You could do a Civil War situation, good guys versus good guys. We got to fight. And then, oh my God, it's these hands. We got to fight the hands. I don't know.
Oh man,
it'll just be a Mortal Kombat movie, but with Super Smash Bros. Characters.
I would 100% watch that.
And no blood.
Man.
Yeah, it just seems like so much fun. And the bit that they did in Mario with him fighting Donkey Kong was really well done.
Yeah,
and you could go
cool.
with that tone, or you can go with a more serious tone, depending on how you want to do it. But like just with how much I like the Mario movie, like I said, and the Sonic movie, especially the newer one, bring them together, have them beat each other's ass. Throw Kirby in there. Find out why Kirby, who I think might be a toddler, has a sword and is just swinging on people. Why does Kirby have hands like that? He's a ball. He's a balloon. I don't know what Kirby is.
Well, he gets the hands from somebody else.
Not even like default Kirby got.
That's true.
Right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's so much you could do. The potential is limitless and possibly too ambitious. But I don't care because I don't have to make it. Super Smash Brothers. Someone make it so I can watch it. Make sure Kirby's in it. He is a staple. That's my number 3.
All right, Colin, hit us with your number 3, man.
All right, time to get on a fucking soapbox for a very small population of people, and that's okay. My number 3 is Golden Sun because I don't know whose dick I gotta suck. I will do whatever I need to do for more of that. I love that series so much.
Whoa. What is this game?
It's so good. It's a JRPG, and I played it when I was very young, and I've played it recently, and it still holds up. Basically, it's based around like the elements, earth, air, water, fire, and there are these like it's a magical fantasy land, and there are these lighthouses, one for each element, and the idea is that if you light all of them, basically the world will like be reshaped, and magic will be unleashed for like everybody, because some people can do magic but some people can't. So the idea is like, let's just make it available to everybody and put magic everywhere. And people are like, ooh, I don't know about that. And so you're trying to stop people from lighting the lighthouses or light the lighthouses depending on what game you're playing and who you're playing as. And there's like it's got your standard twist like, oh my god, this person you thought was dead was not dead the whole time. Gasp. Plus, like, it's got cute little creatures who they call Jinn, which they probably shouldn't. But those are tied to the elements too. And like they use them in the fighting and stuff, and they've got like summons like in Final Fantasy. And it's just like the game slap. And I want to see a version. Like there are characters from them in Super Smash Bros. So they've acknowledged them. Isaac exists.
Who's from Golden Sun?
He's an assist trophy. But Isaac is a dude he's an assist trophy. He shoots out like hands that like push people. You probably have seen it at some point.
Familiar and frustrating.
Yeah, and that's the point. But I love the series so much. And it's like, it's fantasy shit. More fantasy shit. I love fantasy shit.
You do.
Yeah.
You do indeed.
And I know that there are Golden Sun fans out there. I know that they exist. And I feel like I need to rep for them because there aren't that many of us. Well, it's just one of those things where it's like people constantly, who care about it, are constantly going like, could there be another one? Could there be another one? The creators are like, we don't know if there's enough interest. And it's like, what does that mean?
How much money will it cost for me to get this game a sequel?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's me about TV shows. All right. So I guess that takes us to my number 3.
We do.
Which is possibly my favorite video game of the series, Tony Hawk's Underground.
Okay.
You really like Tony Hawk? I love that.
I do. I love Tony Hawk video games. They're so much fun. But Tony Hawk's Underground, basically the story is the protagonist and his friend Eric try to get a sponsorship and go pro after meeting Chad Mullins, but friendships are tested and torn apart in the process. Yeah, that's a story right there.
That sounds like a movie.
That's a movie. That's a story. I loved Tony Hawk's Underground. I thought, I mean, we're not talking about the gameplay. We're just talking about like if you made this into a movie. I also really like skateboarding movies, even when they're bad movies. And we don't make skateboarding movies anymore. I would love to see a skateboarding movie.
The closest I can think in recent memory is like mid 90s, and that's not a skateboard movie. They just skateboard in it.
Right, they just skate in it.
I need like Lords of Dogtown. I need like Grind. I love skateboarding movies. And I think it's because I had a phase in my life where I was obsessed with skateboarding, even though I cannot personally skateboard, but I wanted to learn so bad.
Interesting.
I wanted to design my own skateboard. Like it was a whole thing. You guys, I'm not going to say what my usual username for stuff is, but you guys have seen my username for things.
Yes.
That's where that part of the name comes from, because I had such an obsession with skateboarding.
That makes sense.
Even though I did not skateboard, I own a skateboard deck. It was a real obsession for me at the time. So I was just like going through the Tony Hawk games because I was like, I would definitely want to see one of these as a movie. And the ones that I remember playing the most were Underground and American Wasteland. And I almost had both of them on the list. The only reason I took American Wasteland off is because they're slightly similar stories, and I just think Underground is a stronger one.
Okay.
But American Wasteland was so much fun because there was more of a punk kind of aesthetic or like feeling to it. And because in that game, they're more like trying to build a skate park and not so much trying to go pro. But like every Tony Hawk game is kind of about going pro. So if it has a story at the very least. But Underground seems to have like a story that feels like it would be easy to adapt and make it super relatable. And as well as kind of expand upon it. And it was kind of a globe-trotting type of movie. Like I think they end up in Russia at the end of the game or something like that, because it's a lot of tournaments going on like throughout the world for them to try and go pro. And like I said, like that friendship aspect, people relate to having friends and friendships not quite working out, and and betrayal and things like that. Like this is the perfect Tony Hawk game to make into a movie, because not all the Tony Hawk games have stories. Like the first 3 or 4 of them. Also, Tony Hawk Underground had the best soundtrack of any Tony Hawk game.
The soundtracks do be slapping.
Oh my god, the rap music, the hip hop music on Underground, so good. Cannibal Ox, so good. Dear God. I loved that soundtrack. That was the closest I ever came to becoming like a hip hop head. Was that soundtrack? So yeah, Tony Hawk's Underground, that's my number 3, because it's probably the easiest Tony Hawk game to turn into a movie. And I love Tony Hawk video games, and I love skateboarding movies. So if you're going to do it, that would be the one to do, or at least start with.
I want to give the fans a peek behind the curtain. As you talked about, people being able to relate to friends and those friendships not working out. Before we started, guys, to me, basically pulled a Jesus prophecy on us. It was like, one of you will betray me.
Yeah.
I didn't say betray. I said hurt.
You said one of us are going to betray you, basically. You're like, I don't know who it's going to be.
I didn't say that.
I can't trust you niggas. These hoes ain't loyal. They smile in my face the whole time they want to take my place.
Hilarious. All right, number 2.
Number 2.
Dallas, what you got?
Sorry, had to take a break to cough because I'm dying. And speaking of dying, my number 2.
Okay. Whoa.
My number 2 is Left 4 Dead. So here's the thing. Left 4 Dead came out halfway through high school for me, in a pre The Walking Dead and pre The Last of Us world. And it's a zombie game. Even back then, it wasn't the most original thing in the world, but we didn't have 2 widely acclaimed, widely watched apocalyptic shows in those 2 shows. So I already wanted this back then, and I still want it just because I want to see basically what the special infected look like in like a live action medium. Obviously they would be some kind of generated probably, but like they're so interesting to me, and that's really what made the game stand out versus like, oh, you shoot the infected or whatever. Like you got the hunter that is just a nigga in a hoodie, but he can jump 50 feet and attack you. It's funny because the one, I can't remember what's it called in the Last of Us, the big one that came out the ground was like beating people up.
I can't remember. The bloater, maybe?
Bloater, yeah. It's funny because Left 4 Dead has something like that. There's a boomer, which is this big giant dude who, when you shoot him, he explodes and it's really toxic and disgusting. And there's the tank, which is this really, really swole zombie that just starts backhanding niggas across the game screen, which is so much fun for me. And ever since I played this game, I was like, yo, you could easily make this a story. There has to be a reason this all happened. There has to be a reason they have to get to these places and go through all these settings. These characters seem interesting. They don't really have much of a backstory, but you could give them one. The main thing is that the witch, Colin, have you played this game?
A little bit. I mean, I know the special infected. I've watched more of it than I played, but
that makes sense. So you know the witch?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's so. Demi, have you played this game?
No, I have no idea what's going on here.
Love that.
I'm just vibing.
So this section is for you and the audience, I guess. So the team is walking, vibing, having a good time. As good as
if I can make a very quick analog for Demi that I think will be helpful. Multiverse of Madness Wanda, kind of.
We love to see it.
Honestly, yeah, there were definitely parts in Multiverse of Madness where I was like, okay, she's giving witch vibes. But you're walking, playing whatever music you're playing, whatever. And then the score changes. It gets really eerie. And you just hear a woman crying in the distance. You're like, who's that? I don't know. Sounds like a distressed woman. Let's go find out. As you get closer, the score gets louder. It's like really, it's really horrifying. Yeah, see? That look on your face is the look I had every time I played the game.
I don't want it. I don't like it. Go away.
And then the crying gets louder. You see this distressed white woman. In my personal life, I try to stay away from distressed white women. That could be dangerous for me. But you're a video game protagonist. You got to help. You go over to her. Hey, Becky, what's wrong? And then she shrieks and attacks you with these long ass claws. And for some reason, she's the strongest infected in the game, even though she looks like she weighs about 45 pounds. And it's inherently a jump scare, but it is so worth it to be able to see that adapted into some kind of narrative medium like a live action show or movie. And I'm going to find the witch music at some point because as creepy as I just was, I didn't do it justice. But man, I just want to see that. And I know we've had too many zombie things. And to be honest, we're probably already out of that phase. But just step back. Let's bring that one back. Bring it out of that phase and put it in a movie or a TV show so I can watch that. And then, we'll see what we get from there. We'll see what we get from there. Also, there's Left 4 Dead 2. It has more special infected, but you can just melt them all into one. I don't really care. Left 4 Dead, number 2, right? Yes, that's my number 2.
Yes.
Zombies. Shoot them. Bang, 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 bang.
Colin, number 2.
Hello. My number 2 is difficult because my number 2 is Mass Effect, but I would not want them to adapt any of the games because I think those games are so dependent upon the player being able to make choices.
Aren't they making the TV show?
Shaping the story. Yeah, well, because it's like if you make a movie or a show, you then have to decide which ending is canon, right? And people are going to have opinions because gamers have opinions.
They do. Lots of them. Some of them are bad. Some of them are good.
Some of them are bad. Yeah. But like the universe is super cool. The different alien species are super cool. It's huge, right? So you can, there's the main series that takes place in our galaxy, and then there's the other game that didn't do very well that takes place in the Andromeda galaxy. So it's like you can go fucking anywhere and you can do anything. What's with the weird aliens? What's going on? How do humans fit into this? And it's also like you could very easily do kind of what the games did of like, you're a human who's kind of new to all this, and there's a weird shit going on with the rest of the alien races, and you got to figure out what's up. And you encounter a magic artifact, and now you're important. Like, so you could definitely have that, like, that character, the perspective character of like, I don't really know what this is. I need stuff explained to me. And they'd be like, yeah, here you go. And I just think you could make a really cool, like, space epic out of it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And I want it. And I don't think I'm ever going to get it, and that is okay.
It's funny that, like...
Maybe. They are making a TV show, so who knows?
Oh, fuck. Are they? Oh, that's...
Yeah, because we've talked about this before.
There is a part of me that is very excited, and then there's a part of me that says, y'all just fired 50 people, so what the fuck are you doing over there? But we'll see.
I mean, that seems to be, like, the vibe for a lot of corporations right now. Y'all just fired 50 people. What y'all doing over there?
Yeah.
We are the cat that's looking over the snow mound.
What are you doing over there? But yeah, Colin, it's funny because that, like, eliminating the choice aspect of a game is something I was going to have to run into if I talked about Detroit, because that game is all basically choose your own adventure. What's going to happen? Is this dude a narc or is he a real one? Are they going to be slaves or are they going to fight back? Are they all going to sing slave spirituals, even the white ones?
Do they do that?
So
Dallas,
they
do
sing.
They do that? Dallas, do they do that?
Yes and no. The song, they sing it in a way that, It kind of sounds like a slave spiritual. It's an old like church song, as far as I know. I don't think it's an actual
Like
slave
Black
spiritual.
Church?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, do you know the name of the song?
Hold on, just a little while longer. That song.
I know that song.
Of course you do. You grew up in a black church.
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't know that song until the game, and I was like, they got robot spirituals?
I heard it's in the Medea movie.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
It's in Medea's family reunion, I think.
Oh boy.
During the family reunion.
Oh,
Naturally.
good news.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually, that says popularized.
By
So
Cleophas,
maybe
right?
it was a slave song. I was seeing by Sam Cooke.
Oh.
But that's saying, even that says popularized. So it may still be a Negro spiritual and we're just not talking about that aspect of it. Cage, buddy, you suck so much. Anyway.
The song is kind of hard. I'm just going to say that. Anyway, moving on. Where are we?
Number 2?
Your number two. Yes.
My number 2 is Def Jam Vendetta.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's not a skip. It's not on my list, but it should be. And it was going to be. But then I thought of the implications of like, them being rappers.
I don't care. I need Def Jam Vendetta.
It's so ridiculous.
So, for those of you guys who don't know, here's the summary. 3 years since D-Mob, the mafia boss antagonist from Baltimore, kicked him out on the streets, a protagonist street fighter must help his friend Manny pay off his debts by getting back in the ring and win a street fighting championship comprised of other wannabe street fighter champions and 12 of Def Jam's most popular hip-hop recording artists.
I love it.
We need it. We need the movie.
Need it.
Also, it would be fun to do it. So here, you have 2 options here. Option number 1, you make it a period piece and you use all the rappers that are in the video game.
Okay.
Or at least as many as you can, because I think DMX is in the game. Rest in peace.
He is. Rest in peace, DMX.
So you can only use so many. But you could make it a period piece and use, all the rappers who are actually in the game. Or you could set the game in today and use today's popular rappers.
Oh, God.
Like, it would be insane. But another reason why this video game is on my list, outside of the hip-hop community being involved, it was actually more so because of the story, because it at least has a story that
it's a good story.
It's a great story. As to the choice thing that we've been discussing for this entire round, I guess, because why not? It would just be interesting because in the game, Colin's cat is on his shoulder right now, and I think she's
also likes Def Jam Vendetta.
Yeah, or she's complaining about us recording. But there's the choice of like, the thing about that game is you have 5 love interest choices. You end up with one final girl, I think.
Yes, shout out Christina Milian.
And you know what? Christina Milian can play her again if she wants to.
Sure.
But like, I feel like you got to remove the 5 choices. Just work for the one. Because that's wild. But then that means you got to take out there are like, what, 4 girl-on-girl fights in that video game?
Yeah. Colin's making a face. Girl-on-girl has a certain connotation, but it's just women fighting.
Is that not what that is in that video game?
I'm just saying, like, I want to make sure we clarify for Colin.
Take that out. How are you going to get that weird straight guy demographic?
That's where the hip-hop rappers come in.
It's a video game, Colin. It comes with it. It's a video game about rappers beating each other up. But, no, I refuse to lose Carla. To me, we need that. So,
oh, man. But yeah, Def Jam Vendetta. It would be a fun street fighting movie.
Yes.
Unlike an actual the video game Street Fighter, it would be like, and it would be a more urban. I hate to use the word urban, but a more urban Street Fighter video game. You know why I hate to use it, but like,
the urban youth.
I just want this episode to now be a pitch for the Def Jam game, because it should have been number 1 on my list, if I'm being honest. But it's just like, sadly, they didn't even manage to pay the rappers for the game. I know they wouldn't make this work for a movie.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy.
I want it.
I mean, like I said, it's got a good story. Like it's a bare bones story, but
yeah,
you can build off of that. It's got a good, solid foundation. You build off of that, make something great, and we'll get some cool fight scenes out of it. Get the people who work with Chad Stahelski in his stunt team and get them to do the street fighting stuff.
It's essentially You Got Served meets Fight Club, and I love that.
I'm about it. Let's do it.
Also, there's a sequel, which for me is even better.
Yeah,
and
but we have
takes you-
to do Vendetta first, and then we can do
Of
Fight
course.
for New York.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna say this: there are enough non-rapper characters, even
Yeah.
like the four you choose between, that after this is over, I'm putting Def Jam on the fan cast list.
Hilarious, bro.
I need to.
Even D-Mob, like we got to get like a good menacing. Oh, that's Michael Jai White.
Easy.
Easy.
Oh God.
Done.
I love it.
Def Jam Vendetta. We need the movie. Where's the movie at? Where is the movie?
I need it.
All right, that takes us to our number ones. Dallas, what's your number one?
Okay, so my number one, sticking with things being urban. And to be honest, probably my favorite game outside of my other favorite game, which I think is probably Def Jam 5 for New York.
What?
Def Jam games are amazing.
They're so good.
Yeah, there was one Wednesday night where like nobody showed up to our hangout except for me, and me and Dallas just sat there and played Def Jam.
Great times. Still got the PS2. It's still right there, ready to play.
Yep.
But yes, my number one is Saints Row,
Ooh,
also known as I've described it to people who didn't know what it is back when it started getting popular. Grand Theft Auto, but blacker. And there is a Grand Theft Auto, but blacker. It's called San Andreas.
I was going to say, I didn't know that you could do that. I thought we already reached that point.
They did it with one, but mostly it's like, Vice City type, like Italian mob and stuff like that. And then they did the one with the niggas. Shout out CJ. But Saints Row, it starts inherently niggified, for lack of a better term. Colin, is that not a better term?
I mean, I haven't played the game, so I can't speak to that.
Okay, fair.
Wow.
You can take my word for it. I love this game so much. So, interesting thing about Saints Row, it starts with, gangland type stuff. You're walking around the street, gangs start shooting at each other, you get caught in the crossfire, you get saved by the Saints, who are led by Keith David. Shout out Keith David. He's not playing himself, he's playing a dude named Julius. And then Saints Row 2, you are now the leader of the Saints through some things that happened in the first one, blah, 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 blah. And then Saints Row 2 was my favorite game, maybe ever. And then it just started to get out of hand. Saints Row 3, you are now like a major conglomerate as opposed to being like a street gang. You have like billboards and energy drinks and all these things that would make you multi-millionaires, but you still just commit crimes like robbing banks and stuff. I don't know. It's very strange. By the time Saints Row 4 came out, you are playing the president and there's an alien invasion. So you went from fighting gang members in the first one. I was going to say season 1, but man, I mean, it would have to be a TV show. So yeah, season 1. By season 4, aliens are coming and you have to deal with like simulations of people you've killed in the past. There's a spinoff where your main right-hand man, Johnny Get, is in hell because he died in number 3 and he has to fight through hell. I don't know what happened to these games. It's just so strange. That would be my trouble. I would want to adapt the first 2 because if I went through the whole thing, the show would start as Snowfall and end as Rick and Morty. And I don't want that. That's not what I need. Doesn't even make any sense.
Are you sure that's not what you need? Not at all?
I can't do it. Like I played the third one, gameplay's still fun, but you're fighting niggas with superpowers. Hulk Hogan's in there. He wasn't saying nigga out like that back then. But the first 2, they're so good. They're so good. And the story is great. It's like betrayal of friends. Like Demi said, you can't trust any of your friends. They're all terrible people. That's what Demi said to us earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
that's not what I said to you earlier. That's not what I said to you earlier. Jesus.
That is what you said.
That's pretty much
it is not. No, it's not.
But yeah, you get that aspect. Like you run with this dude. Oh no, this dude's an undercover cop. Oh no, this chick was really part of that gang. There's all these things. And the second one, they ramp it up, not to the point of insanity like the third and fourth, but in a good way. The cast is amazing. Keith David is also, Keith David is playing himself by the end of the series, which is weird because he's playing one of the main characters in the first game. And then it's just Keith David later. I don't know what happened. I legitimately don't know how these games ended up the way they did.
They must have got new writers. I don't know what happened here.
I don't know. And then they did a reboot. I haven't played it, not because it's quote unquote woke, which all of the idiots like to complain about. Like, oh my God, look at the game. They made it woke. I'm poor, so I don't have it.
Quick side note on that. There's a game that came out recently called Starfield that is, very big. A lot of people like it. But there was this video going around Twitter, let's say, earlier today of some dude just like screaming about pronouns. And,
fun.
Because you can choose your pronouns. And like someone commented like, oh man, I wish you could just remove pronouns. And I'm like, how? What do you call people? How are you going to
remove them from the language?
Well, they were like, remove them from the game because it's woke. And I'm like, okay, sure. But then what do you use pronouns? How does that work?
Yeah. That's such a dumb, it's such a dumb hill to die on. Like, I hate pronouns. Like, I is a pronoun. So you just, stop it. Stop doing that.
Right.
And talk like Forager from Young Justice. But yeah, Saints Row, it's great. The cast is great. Keith David's in it. Daniel Day Kim is in it. And it's funny because Daniel Day Kim is a very prominent actor. But when I was younger, I didn't know him from anything. So now I hear his voice and I always think of Johnny Gat, even though he's done so much other stuff. I was like, oh, he's that Asian nigga from Saints Row. And I use the term nigga deliberately because he is such a nigga. And I love that because he's Asami's dad. The fact that Asami's dad was in a video game talking to a judge, talk about, I'm gonna shove that gavel up your ass while on trial for like 51 accounts of murder. It's so ridiculous. I love Daniel Day Kim. To me, Elijah Dushku's in this game. She's in the second one.
I feel like I knew that because I've seen the name Saint Row on her IMDb a lot. So
yeah, and she plays a stoner chick who I don't really understand how she got to the gang. Vibes. She's not particularly violent or imposing, but
I can see her playing a stoner chick.
She does it very well. Neil Patrick Harris is in the game. Everybody's in this game. Michael Clark Duncan was in it. Rest in peace.
Yo.
I just want this as a show. You can't do everything in the game because there's too much in the game, but
you can do if it's a show.
Yeah, just focus on those first 2 games because I don't know what will happen if you make a show and you start to get the Saints Row 4. I don't know that I want to see it. I'd watch it. I don't know that I want to. I just feel compelled to support. But yeah, that's Saints Row. Weird ass game. I love it. Adapt it, somebody.
Colin, what's your number 1?
All right. My number 1. My number 1 is Bioshock because it has to happen one day.
He sounds so sad about it.
Defeated.
Right. He just sounds so sad about it.
A Bioshock movie for like over a decade, and it's just never happened. Gore Verbinski was supposed to do it, and then he didn't. And like it keeps getting talked about as like it's gonna happen, but no one really gets attached to it. It never, and I want it. And it's like that's the thing for me is that it has been in the works before. Like I love the game; it's one of my favorite games ever. But the fact that they were gonna make a movie about it, like hell yes, that would be awesome. This would make for a great movie. Why hasn't it happened yet?
According to IMDb, Francis Lawrence is supposed to be directing it now.
Sure.
Francis Lawrence is the director of all of the Hunger Games movies except for the first Hunger Games.
Okay, those are good movies. I'm down. I don't believe this is going to happen.
Fun fact, he also directed Justin Timberlake's Rock Your Body video. I just like telling people that because it's funny.
Right. The range.
We love to see it.
Yeah, just like Bioshock, it's such a, well, okay, the first 2, I need to qualify. The third one is shit. The first 2 are just so interesting, and they have a really cool world, and the narrative is straightforward enough that you could just adapt it. You wouldn't, it doesn't have as much of the like player choice and the what do you do and blah blah blah. And like underwater cities are really cool environment, and they got people with superpowers and shit. Like it's awesome. It does though feel like one of those things that if you adapted it, kind of like Fight Club, where straight men would see it and take the wrong message, which would be like, yo, capitalism is actually really great, but that's, I guess, the risk you run. It's supposed to happen, and I want it to happen, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. That's why I think it was it Gore Verbinski who made Cure for Wellness?
I don't know, but he did Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, I think it was Cure for Wellness, because I remember when that came out, I was like, this visually looks like what the Bioshock movie was probably going to look like, and then he didn't do it.
Yes, that was him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, as of now, it is at Netflix under the eye of Francis Lawrence, and it has been since August 2022.
I will hold out hope.
No, you can get 2 seasons and then it can be canceled.
And that's fine. That's
be lucky to get 2.
Do the first game, do the second game, stop. Do not do the third game. It's bad.
Like I said, you'll be lucky to get 2 at this rate.
True. Also, Colin, question.
That's all I need. Yo.
This is the game with the big daddies in it, right? And the little sister.
It is, yeah.
Got it.
I'm not going to ask any further questions.
You sure?
They're in the first 2. They're not in the third one, but yes.
Is that why you don't like the third one? They got rid of the daddies?
No, I don't like the third one because one of the very first things they asked me if I wanted to do was, hey, do you want to throw a rock at a mixed race couple? And I was like, okay, thanks.
Oh, that game. You told me about that.
Yeah.
What?
They don't. There's one of the first things you can do, and you don't have to. Obviously, you can choose not to. I chose not to because I'm not
That's
terrible.
the choice that you should choose.
That's just the fact that they presented me with a couple that were the races reversed would look very much like my parents and were like, "Do you want to throw a rock at them?" I was like, "Oh,
The first
no, I
question
don't.
they asked you
Thank
was if you
you."
wanted to commit a hate crime. Like,
It's
why
not the
would
first, but it is very early. It is one of the first things you encounter in the game. And I'm like, wow, this isn't going to go well. And then the rest of the game, the way it deals with race is not great. It's like, oh man, this woman is black and she's oppressed and her life is kind of shit. But oh, she killed this guy's kid. So is she really good? It's like, well, I mean, think of what she is fighting for. Anyway.
I feel like that's the storyline in Spiderhead.
Oh, really?
I
Interesting.
forgot about that. Man, hate crimes out the gate.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was shocking to me how quickly it got to the hate crime. I was like, oh, so this is what this is now. Like the
Oh my
first one, it
gosh.
was all like capitalism is bad, or maybe it's not. That's fine. This one is like maybe racism is okay. Not really, not really. But the whole city in the third one is founded on racism, and it's just like, oh, this sucks.
Would you kindly throw a rock at these niggas?
Oh my god. Okay. Moving on to my
just do
number
that,
one. My number one is Destiny.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, summary, I guess. Players take on the role of a guardian, protectors of Earth's last safe city as they wield a power called Light to protect the city from different alien races. Guardians are tasked with reviving a celestial being called the Traveler while journeying to different planets to investigate and destroy the alien threats before humanity is completely wiped out. Yes, I used to play this game a lot. I stopped because I don't like playing it alone.
That's fair. It's not meant to be played alone, to be honest.
I don't get any enjoyment out of it played by myself.
It's because it's not. I mean, you get so many challenges and raids and stuff. It's like they want you to play this game. They want you to have friends who play this game, and it's like, well, sometimes those people aren't available. What do you do?
It's not that they're not available. It's just, our habits have to. Anyway, we're not going to get into my personal life. Anyway, Destiny. Destiny has a fantastic amount of lore that you don't have to necessarily adapt a storyline from the video game.
Like from the jump.
Yeah.
It starts with, hey, you were dead.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you why. You never learn why. But just, hey, you were dead and you've been brought back to life. Like, shit, that's just a great start.
Here's this cool light thing that's going to follow you around and help you investigate and save the day and stuff. Yep. Destiny just has a bunch of cool concepts, a bunch of cool armor, a bunch of cool weapons. And
oh my God, the aesthetics.
Yeah, the aesthetics are fantastic. I had a gold shotgun for a while there that was absolutely I probably still have it. I should go check my armory and inventory again, but I haven't played in a year. But I love that game. I have so much fun playing that game when I have other people to play with.
One of the frustrations with the original game, and I don't remember if this carried over to Destiny 2, was there was a ton of lore, but it was you had to go outside the game to find it. But if you did that, it was worth it. I remember reading a story of the backstory of one of the major villains, and it's oh, this is really fucking compelling. I'm really super interested in this. So there's a lot in there you could do.
Yeah, Destiny. I played Destiny 2. I've never played the original Destiny game. I've only ever played Destiny 2. And Destiny 2 is so much fun because they'll just randomly do lore dumps on you. Just, oh, you finished this mission? Here's a whole backstory segment so that you understand why you're doing the thing that you're doing. Because it's a lot of war. It's a lot of battling people. It's a lot of alliances that are temporary and don't always work out. Sometimes you are fighting people who you were allied with just last season. But yeah, it's a game that you don't have to necessarily adapt a particular storyline or a particular mission or quest. You can create a bunch of custom original characters for the story and create your own story that just exists within the Destiny world. And I think that's actually probably the best way to make a video game movie, is to not have to be so strapped down to what the story requires of you.
To me, the game is kind of designed in that sense of you play it with friends and you form your fire team and you go out on these adventures. They could do anything with that. You could have an anthology series. You could have anything.
Yeah, the story is what you make of it. You choose whether or not you want to do the missions of the season. If you want to follow the story that they've set up for the season, or you can just do strikes, or you can do PvP, or you can do oh my gosh, why can I not think of literally my favorite thing to do, which is the 6-on-6.
Gambit?
Yes, Gambit. I love Gambit. Gambits are fantastic. you can just do those. Or like there are so many different activities that you could be doing that you don't necessarily have to follow the story for. But also the story is fantastic too, and the lore is fantastic to follow. And every alien species is also very interesting. And like I said, and like we talked about the aesthetic is also so dope. So yeah, this would make a dope movie series, probably better to do movies than to do a television.
See, this feels like, honestly, it would be, if they did it, it would be like Star Wars, where you could do novels and TV shows and movies and like all sorts of shit.
I feel like you could also do something like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, where it's like, here, we're taking the established lore of this game, but we're creating our own story, we're creating our own characters, and we're making references to how the game works, but like, you know, we've kind of made our own thing, but we've created it in a space that already exists. But yeah, that's my number one, Destiny.
Hey.
And so ends our top 5.
Yeah, nice, diverse, different kind of check boxes.
Else is officially a furry?
I am not. That doesn't make sense.
Allegations.
I played a game with animals in it.
No, you played a game with animals in it, and you liked it so much that it made it on your list that you would want to see it adapted. Bruh.
Yeah, that's cool.
Bruh.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not grouping
allegations.
People. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not there's anything wrong with that.
Okay, now we're throwing out the you people. Okay.
That's okay. A couple of my close friends are first. Oh yeah, different opinions. Different opinions. We have to do this here and now because we don't have reviews anymore because the entertainment industry is greedy and terrible and they don't pay people.
The studios are, yeah.
Anyway, we got a YouTube comment going all the way back to 200 episodes ago on our Atlantis fancast. 2 comments actually from Sean Ram. I don't know how to say your last name, Sean. I apologize. So comment number 1. William H. Macy is my top choice for Cookie and Josh Brolin as Commander Lyle Rourke. I think those are both great, especially Josh Brolin as Commander Rourke because Josh Brolin is terrifying and powerful.
And also kind of looks like him. You could
a little bit. I can see it.
A little bit.
And then, you know, William H. Macy does look like Cookie. Cookie's not a character I'm too concerned about who would play him, but William got the look.
He does have to kind of look like that character.
Yeah. And then Sean's other comment is Andrew Garfield as Milo Thatch, which is the ever popular fan cast, which is popular for a reason.
That was my fan cast back in, when did I do that fan cast? Like 10 years ago? My original Atlantis fan cast 10 years ago. But now Andrew Garfield's a little old for the role, so.
I've never really had a good handle on how old Milo is supposed to be.
Old enough, I would assume, to have finished grad school, but still young enough that he's super naive.
Okay. I don't know.
So like late 20s.
And you got a young face. You could play your late 20s. Not like Tobey Maguire. Toby didn't have to catch a stray like that. Also on YouTube, fast forwarding to the present, our top 5 A24 movies. Ali Cherry says, A24's Beau is Afraid was stressful. And you know what, Ali? I assume you're correct. I don't do that. I don't do the Ari Aster things anymore.
Dallas saw like 2 of them and said, nah, fam.
I saw one of them and that was enough.
There's a moment in Beau and I have not seen it, but I read the plot synopsis and I was like, yeah, this is not. There are things you should do and there are things you shouldn't do. And this is going to cross that line, I think. And why have you done this, Ari Aster?
Was it the dick monster?
It was the dick monster.
Yeah.
I'm not asking questions. Let's move on to the next comment.
I think we could answer the questions even if you asked.
Yeah, I can't. But Ali, I assume you're correct because Ari Aster he's a wild boy. Moving on to TikTok, we have a new comment from a new follower, Monica. Shout out to you, Monica.
What's up?
On our Moonlight reel, Monica said it's one of my favorite movies, and
nice.
I haven't seen it, but I heard
she
it's really good.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It's a fantastic movie.
I don't know if it would be your thing, Dallas, but
I don't know either. That's why I haven't seen it.
I don't think that you would like dislike it.
How do you feel about Waves?
He didn't like Waves.
You didn't like Waves.
I'm be honest. We talked about Waves in the podcast, and I think you were like, "How'd you feel?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I think I might still feel that way. But to me, it's correct in saying I didn't like it because I don't know if I can say I dislike it, but I know that I cannot say I liked it.
Like, I don't know why that's the one that came to mind to me, but.
Well, he didn't like, if I remember correctly, you had an issue with the characters in Waves. And I have never seen Waves, but I feel like the characters are probably very different in Moonlight.
I would hope so. From what I understand about Chiron, I don't know how to say his name, but He's not like the kid in Waves, because that little nigga got on my nerves.
Yeah, I don't think the characters are nearly as frustrating as you made the characters in Waves out to be.
No.
Fair. Yeah, maybe one day. I like the cast a lot.
The cast is amazing.
Yeah.
Do I think that you'll like Moonlight? I'm not sure. Do I think that you'll dislike Moonlight? No, I don't think you would.
I think I could see it being one of those movies that I watched and was like, this is a good movie that I didn't necessarily enjoy watching.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be like
Yeah,
a one-time watch for me. But hey, sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes
you just got to check it out just to see what it's all about, see what the hype is, and then, all right, cool.
Yeah,
did my thing.
Move on with your life. But yes, those are our different opinions. Thank you to all the peeps. Keep them coming because I like comments. I like being engaged with.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It is, right? It's nice to engage.
Yeah.
Dallas is dying. Hold on 1 second before he outros up for us.
Oh my God. Dallas, you good?
No. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much, audience, for listening to all of that. Listening to my last breaths. As always, thank you, Crown Digital, Brandon, and Io for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Demi, thank you for editing, putting us on YouTube, repping for the skaters.
I'm not really, because I can't skate.
That's the funny thing about it. You're like repping for the skaters, but you're not. But we see you out there, Reggie Rocket. Colin, thank you for repping for the Big Daddies or the Little Sisters, whichever one you prefer. I'll leave that up to you.
They're both morally not great, so I don't think I could rep for either, to be honest.
Yikes. Anyway, moving on. Audience, what games do you want to see made into movies or shows? Do you want to commit hate crimes? You have the option if you play Bioshock. With Spiritual, would you have your robot sing in a Detroit movie? Let us know. Also,
which
let us know.
Do you want to be in Def Jam Vendetta?
Yes. Who's your favorite hip-hop fighter? Oh, I'm sorry. Before we finish, there's a part in Def Jam Fight for New York where you're going to fight Sean Paul. It's one of my favorite things to ever talk about because between the fights, you have like a two-way because it's like 2008 or whatever. And sometimes you get text messages. Was it not a two-way? Like a two-way pager kind of? Like a sidekick.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. One of the whatever was popular back then. Sometimes you get text messages from the person you're going to fight. They're talking trash like, yo, I'm going to beat your ass. Sometimes you get voice messages.
Yes.
And for some reason, they thought it was a good idea for Sean Paul, the rapper who became famous, saying things that none of us understood, to have a voice message, not a text message.
Oh, well, I mean, yes, I would do the same thing.
So, like, you open it and it's just angry Jamaican noise.
Yo, wagwan youth, you play with fire, you know. So pack it up before you get burned, pussy.
What is he saying to me? I'm afraid. But also, shout out Sean Paul. He's one of the best fighters in the game. Dude got hands. I had to bring that up because I don't know if I ever get to talk about
not being understood.
I just love it. I love it. Anyway, audience, let us know what we should do next because, video games might get crossed off the board soon as well. And then where would we be? We're going to talk about books. Yeah. I don't read books. What do I look like? Hit us with all those ideas in the comments or on Twitter at y'all_different, Instagram and Tumblr at Creative Differences Podcast, Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC, or TikTok at Creative Differences Pod. Sorry, hold on, dying. All right. If you want to check on me and make sure I'm still alive after this episode comes out, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at a king named Simba.
If you are enjoying living in this brand new world where Dallas is a furry, tell me about it. You can hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at DuckMcGuck.
If you guys want to talk to me about Kingdom Hearts, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram. My Twitter handle is Demi_Joie. Joie spelled Joae. And my Instagram handle is Dreamy Films. Dreamy spelled DREEMI. Thanks again for joining us. Tune in next time. We have no idea what we're doing. We don't even know the next time when we'll be recording. So, hey,
it's wild out here.
It's a wild, wild west in this podcasting identity crisis.
Yes.
Remember, support your union.
Yes, please do. Please do. Get those people paid. Not just because I want to be one of those people one day and I want to be paid. If you want to talk to an actual furry, you can find Gabby on Twitter.
Jesus.
At Make That Snake Solid. All one word.
I thought you would go for the fur fighter route, but all right.
I didn't want to because it felt,
too on the nose.
Colin's just going to be like, but that's your game. You're a furry.
I mean, I wasn't even thinking that, but thank you. I will remember that.
Yeah. It's been different. Bye.
Bye.
So to me.
Yeah.
Off mic, you said that Colin is more of a disloyal hoe than I am. Do you care to elaborate?
I did not say that.
You did. That is what you said, though.
I did not say that.
For the record,
Wow.
I would like to state that I am not a disloyal hoe. I don't know. Yeah, some shit happened, like a decade ago. We moved back.
I did not say that. Dallas is now like anger translating for me. I don't know.
I mean, you could call it that.
Say, he uppity. He disloyal. Saw me walking with a green juice, and that was it.
I mean, you moved to Portland, so it makes sense.
Oh, you uppity.